Okay, I will give a brief history and information that we know to date about the building on the Family Health Center building on our boulevard. We started out on this project in November of 2020 when Family Health Centers introduced the new building to our community. And it's a 10-story building, 2 stories below ground, 8 stories above ground. And we were told that the building was going to have a lot of parking. I think it's around 250 parking places. It was going to have medical offices. It was going to have residential units for the doctors who work at FHC, and that all of the studio units were going to be various levels of low-income housing that would include workforce housing and workforce housing, and would likely be affordable for students and young professionals at those different levels. Nobody had much of a problem with the housing being for affordable housing. Even though a building full of affordable housing is a little unusual, we were told studios are a very desirable product and would fit good in the neighborhood. What we didn't like was the 8-story building, and our community voted against the building based on the traffic that 250 cars going in and out of that parking garage was going to create in the neighborhood, the backups on the neighborhood streets, the backups on Cajon Blvd, and the height of the building on that very narrow portion of Cajon Blvd that is in El Cerrito. The building we were told the building was by right, and that they came to us out of courtesy. The Family Health Centers also went to the College Area Planning Committee and gave them a report, basically the same information. We also had an architect who came with, I think it's an architect, he might have been a building, somebody who has lots of experience with the building, and he told us what a quality building it was going to be. And that person, I don't know if he attended the college area meeting, but the same thing was told to the college area. It was information only, again, out of courtesy, because they had the right to build the building. Then fast forward, or slow forward, to May 21st of this year, which is a year and a half later, just about, well, a year and 4 months. We found out that there was an agenda item on the County Board of Supervisors meeting for the April 26th, and that was to approve this building to be homeless housing, and not just homeless housing, but homeless housing with treatment for drug, alcohol, and mental health problems. And what was alarming at that meeting was that there were representations that our neighborhood knew about the project, knew about the change, approved the change, and it would fit good into the neighborhood, which was a complete misrepresentation as far as anybody we could think of knew. And I've spoken with College Area. There was a representation in an article in San Diego News, and in that article, it states that that the planning board for the area wrote a letter in support of the building, and that the building will be an improvement for our neighborhood, and some other things that were, let's see, it endorsed a majority. It's endorsed by a majority of the members of the neighborhood advisory group. So we didn't really believe this because nobody that in the neighborhood has heard about this change. Nobody had knowledge of it. We talked to each other a lot, and nobody had any info to help substantiate the statements that were made. We've been trying to find out information. I've contacted the college area planning board, and as far as the people I've talked to, which includes the chair at the time, no letter was written. I checked City Heights agendas for the whole period of time. City Heights hasn't had this project on their review. It hasn't been reviewed by Eastern area, so we're coming up with a lot of questions and trying to get, we asked for documentation of the letter from the planning board and some other things from Tyler Renner, who is quoted, he's with PATH. And he said that they're going to work on getting things documents to us, but they just didn't have them right now. So the community, by and large, is feeling completely blindsided and very baffled at the representations that our community approves this. And the statements that it will improve our neighborhood are startling. There is
Laura, may I cut in real quick? It's
yeah,
relevant
please,
to what
yes,
Laura's
please.
saying. Yeah, hi. I put in the chat there, BJ and I are both on the college area planning board, and I don't remember ever them coming to our board to present, nor did we send a letter out. And so I just want to make that clear. There were a couple of letters from people in the community after they presented to El Cerrito back in February or March, way back when. But there were only one or two letters. Our group, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Laura, ECCC put out a letter that we're opposed to it. The board voted for that. I just want to make that clear. So I apologize for interrupting.
No, that's good.
Laura, Michael Dude has his hand up. Can he pop in for a minute?
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody. I was just chiming in as Laura was going through the past history. I wanted to mention that I'm the one that's posting on our happy hour page and trying to keep folks informed. One of the issues that I take, one of the umbrages I have is the fact that there were specific questions related to drug and alcohol rehab, homeless housing, and they had all but said, no, there isn't going to be either of those coming to this facility, housing for residents and affordable units, 65K incomes and up, essentially, or around that range. To now hear that it's the exact opposite, that's what I wanted to call attention to, is the fact that we're sold a package presentation of building a project, and then they in turn in the back ends reverse that project to what I feel might be harmful or negative impact to our neighborhood that is growing and recently highly rated, without any real consideration from the community that already had issues with an affordable housing project. And so I just wanted to go back and stress that it's the misgivings and the misleading statements of the past and past presentations that are also being objected to. The project is a 180-degree turn from what was initially presented. So I just wanted to make sure that all were aware. This isn't just being against the homeless center project per se, but the fact that we were told one thing and they're going forward wholeheartedly with another project is my issue. So I just wanted to chime in on that end.
Thank you. One thing that's also of a lot of concern is the resolution from the county approving this project. And in that resolution, they talk about equity impact, and they talk about fiscal impact, and they talk about business impact. And they keep saying that, oh yes, this project will, the funding for this project will not create any, since it's being paid for by a grant, it's not going to have a fiscal impact on the county and the city, but it's going to have a big fiscal impact on our community, and it's going to have a huge fiscal impact on all the homes that are right around the site and the streets that are on both sides of that block. And so fiscal impact considerations really need to be more than for the city. In the business impact statement, it says the proposal will have a positive impact on the business community. I don't think so. Then near the very end of their statement, they have a statement that the actions, today's actions support the county's vision of Live Well San Diego. And Live Well San Diego happens to talk about building better health, living safely, and thriving. Well, this isn't going to help our community thrive. And they also talk about having the region to a region with a formal commitment so that wherever you live, work, play, or pray, an organization or individual is nearby working to improve your well-being and health of your community. And it really feels like the total opposite of that statement with what's going on. So everybody's blindsided. We want to get community comments from all of you who are in attendance. We want to get questions because for the meeting coming up, we want answers from all our representatives. And if we give them the questions in advance, I think we'll get better answers. I don't want to stop answers at the upcoming meeting. I just hopefully we can get better answers because people will have time to look into them. And we're going to be doing our homework to see, since so much of this seems to have a lot of untruth to it right from the very start, we're going to check and see what we can do. So with that said, and if anybody else wants to chime in on the background, please do. Otherwise, go ahead, feel free to raise your hands, make your comments, ask your questions, and then we'll take a vote.
Hi, Amit, can I begin?
Well, we've got hands raised though. So I've got Sarah, Mary, Lakowski, Teresa, Rick, an iPhone, Annette, Denise Padilla, Dana. So I'll just call you. It tells me when people's hands were raised. So if we just keep it in order, we'll have a more orderly discussion, or at least allow people to make comments. Sarah, go ahead, please.
Hi, I first of all, I wanted to reiterate what the gentleman said previously about how this is just a complete switcheroo from everything that they told us previously, that we still voted against what they promised at that point, and now what they're presenting goes along with all of our concerns that we had expressed prior to this new plan. So yes, I mean, first of all, I'm in agreement with him that this is quite a surprise. Secondly, I'm really concerned about the idea of a drug treatment program, which I assume is methadone, but of any sort of outpatient treatment directly across the street from an elementary school. That seems like it absolutely violates some sort of law. You can't even have a bar anywhere near a school. So I'm not really sure how they can have an outpatient drug treatment program. So I'm definitely concerned about that. And then my last point is less of a point than a question, which is that we can all express our concerns and our complaints in these community meetings, and I intend to participate in as many of them as I can. But the real question is, what is our possible recourse? What can we do other than, and I say this based on having lived in various neighborhoods where I've been involved in community politics and felt like it was pretty much futile to sit around and air our grievances if we didn't have any agency in making change. So I'm curious if anyone on this call is aware of what we can truly do to stop what we do not want in our community. That's all, and I hope I can get some response from that. Thank you.
Great, Sarah, thank you. The last question's great. I don't have an answer, but it's a great question. Mary?
Hi, my name's Mary Nees, and I in late 2020 as well as early 2021 also, as like the gentleman who spoke before, was a stalwart supporter on these calls of affordable housing at that site. I do agree. I know, I apologize to those of you who live right behind it, but I'm 5 doors from El Cajon Boulevard. And if somebody wanted to build a 5-story, 10-story right by me, I would be okay with it on El Cajon Boulevard, but I'm not okay with the process, and I'm not supportive of where they are now because of the lack of respect and reaching out to the community that has been done. It is truly a bait and switch. It's arrogance at the height to do community outreach, to have elected officials who are involved and know how the plan evolved and changed and had to be involved with applications to the state as well as then to the county, and the months that it takes to get the applications through, as well as docketed on the Board of Supervisors. I used to docket board letters to the board, so I know how long it takes. And so the very fact that we were offered the education and the information and the outreach that was done in late 2020 and 2020 and early 2021, and to have it evolve knowingly that it was evolving and not continuing to do the outreach that was done. And they know the boards that are involved, they know about ECC, and then to misrepresent, to lie. I don't know if there's any attorneys, whether that would be a recourse. If you have a misrepresentation on a Board of Supervisors letter, what the recourse would be there. I don't know if there's any CEQA recourses with the CEQA that has to be done on the state. That's generally, it would probably be a notice of exemption on an application. And I guess I'd be interested to know whether you need a conditional use permit for the kind of housing that is being proposed. Obviously, you have it by right for affordable housing, however many stories you can go on El Cajon Boulevard because it's a transit. But I am firmly opposed to this, and I can't be educated or brought along now to support this. Maybe I could have been in early 2021 when they were realizing that they were needing to change, and if they had tried to educate it. But this is just really a slap in the face. I know I'm probably going on longer than 2 minutes, so I will wrap it up. It's a slap in the face to the community, and it's very disrespectful. And I want you to know that I have some clout because I had been a supporter, and now I'm clearly an opponent because of the process and because of the lack of respect in the community. Thanks.
Mary, thank you. Teresa?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, there's been several comments made about there being one school in close proximity, but in actuality, there are many schools. So there's Ifton, and right behind Ifton is Mann Middle School. And as we know, up the street, there's Clay. And then just down the street, there's another charter school, as well as some other in the surrounding areas. I also want to raise, I don't know if we've commented or made contact with the media, because I don't think it would fare well having a homeless and drug rehab facility. We already have an immense homeless problem right up and down the boulevard. I know as I drive down the boulevard to work from Hoover High School, which is just down the street, down the alley, there is like a huge encampment, as well as we know the people along the boulevard. And I used to feel very safe walking in our neighborhood and walking down the boulevard in the evenings. And now I don't feel as comfortable. I also wonder if there's statistics that the city would be able to share about the impact that it has as far as health and safety with the community, and any other crime that may happen as a result of that, because we have in the past usually had a very safe neighborhood. So I just wanted to bring those comments out in public. So thank you for this opportunity.
Teresa, thank you very much. Rick?
I guess listening to this and finding out that this is being funded by a grant from outside the county I think that we need to look into what was applied for in that grant, because generally anyone who has any knowledge of grants knows you've got to talk about what you're going to do, and you can't just switch it in the middle. And I think it's probably fraudulent the way they presented it, because I think they were planning this from the very first day and just didn't present it this way. So I think somebody needs to see if they can find out the nature of that grant, where it comes from and what the text of it is. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Rick. We know it's a home key grant, if that tells you anything, and I believe Laura has been working on that. So if she has information, she'll pop back in and let us know.
It is a home key grant program, which has been going on for a few years, but I am looking into a lot of things, and I'm going to get help from other board members and help from community members. And there's a lot of unanswered questions, and there might be some hope for us. I don't know what to tell you, but I wouldn't say that it's hopeless, but I really do want to get all of our comments and questions out, because I think that our representatives have a lot of answering to do. Thanks.
I do want to speak towards I work for federally qualified health centers as well in the South Bay, that I have a little bit of information on a comment that came up about the federal dollars. And what they're doing isn't necessarily legal. I actually talked it out with my CFO, and there's a lot of grant funding that's out there. There's what's called in lieu of services and healthy homes, where health centers are tasked with providing housing options. And so with the slush fund of monies, I think $20 million to housing for homeless that's coming down from the state, the health centers, we go after our opportunities, and Family Health Centers just happens to already be invested in housing. So they use this, I believe, as an opportunity to convert from what was an affordable housing project to utilize that $20 million to just greenlight this project and proceed with the homeless center, because if you commit it, you get all the funding. Affordable housing, it's not part of that project. So there is federal funding to FQHCs, but this is actually reasonably, it's legal, it's difficult, and there's a lot of paperwork behind it, but it is legal. It's just frustrating that an FQHC would choose to take this step. It's actually quite embarrassing as an FQHC employee of a different center to see their steps.
Thank you, Michael. iPhone?
I think this is Margot. Hi, this is Margot Curry. I live in the neighborhood just a few blocks away. I am disgusted and horrified by the lies, the deceit, and the disregard for the community. I have two little girls, aged 2 and 4, and I am surrounded by neighbors who have young families of similar age. How am I supposed to feel safe with them playing, or me just walking alone with them in the street? I can't. That's the straight up answer. I cannot be safe walking alone or walking with my girls in the streets. And furthermore, how can I be safe playing with my girls playing on our own property in our own front yard? I can't. I live about 3 blocks away from this site. And just 1 year ago, we caught a man who was on drugs in front of our house, pants down, masturbating to our Christmas decorations. And just bringing this population here is, again, horrifying. Furthermore, as Sarah iterated, I am so concerned that the city seems to systematically and consistently deceive and ignore our community interests, and is unacceptable. I would love to see this group take some serious steps and actually consider suing them. That's it. Thank you.
Margot, thank you. Nat?
Hi, sorry about that. I just want to let you know, Lori, that Maurice wants to speak, but he can't get his hand up. So maybe after me. I agree with what you just said earlier, because of course you guys heard me how irate I was when I spoke inappropriate at an inappropriate time. So I apologize for that, but I'm still very appalled by this. This is reminiscent of what they did over at Boulevard 68. And, since they put that Boulevard 68 up, our homeless problem has gotten 90% worse. And this is just not acceptable for any of us who live here. Like I said, if they want to build on El Cajon Boulevard and try to make that nice with, you know, the issue is these are all majority of our homes were built in the 30s and 40s. If somebody sells the house behind me, and they're going to have to put up an 8-story apartment building because there's no parking. So half of that's going to be parking and the rest of it's going to be apartments. I don't want to live next to that, and nor should I have to, and nor should any of us. We bought our houses years ago. It's not okay for the city to come and tell it and feed us a lie and say, oh, we're going to upgrade the college area from 54 to college, and it's just going to include, you know, El Cajon Boulevard. And now they're creeping into our neighborhoods and then trying to put in this homeless in, you know, center is not okay, because you're right. We have a lot of schools around, but right across the street is an elementary school, right across the street. And yes, we have a lot of schools in this area. One of the reasons I bought here in 2006, and this is just not acceptable. So I will do what, please help me. I will help in any way that I can. We as a community cannot allow this. This is going to ruin our neighborhoods, ruin our property values. When is it going to end? They're going to go all the way to the college to the north and all the way to university to the south. It's never going to end. They're going to turn us in to San Francisco or New York, and we don't want this in our neighborhoods.
We'll provide every opportunity to provide input as we
Forget about
options.
Don't forget about Maurizio.
I won't. And Denise is next, and I'm sure Denise won't mind Maurice jumping in front of her. At least I don't think so.
Of course I don't.
Thank you, Denise. Go ahead, Maurice, please.
Let Denise speak first, please, and I'll speak after Denise. Denise, go ahead.
Thank you, Maurice. Well, these are my personal feelings. I did attend that meeting.
Denise.
I'm just upset. I just feel like we're being used. And I don't know if people are aware of it, but on Leah Street, which is 1 block south of University, we were given the storage center. It's called the Storage Connect Center. And it is right across the street from Teen Challenge, which is a rehab center for men. It's a very successful rehab center. And they need to build a fence around their building, their property, because of the issues they're having. And those issues also come up to El Cajon Boulevard. And another concern is that's right across the street from the schools, from the children. I mean, care? Ifton, man, we have Blessed Sacrament. I'm trying to think, those are the 3. Did you want to say something?
I'll say Crawford.
On Crawford. It's mind-boggling to me how they're treating us and how they're getting away with it. And I hope we can fight it. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Maurice?
Hi. I just have to say that this is pretty upsetting because I've been on this for a very long time. For at least 15 years, I've been tracking this issue, and it has become what it is now. But this issue is been going on for many years, and many people didn't know about it. And it started with the homeless crisis in this area. And how it started was with our local churches starting to feed them and attract them. But because we don't have services, they have to bring services now. Now, I opened a case at with the code enforcement, and I provided overwhelming, powerful evidence and database for several years. But code enforcement was pressurized not to act from the city, and which was mind-boggling. And now that the project is under construction, the homeless issue is gone because they have actually the crisis is no longer needed, and now the funds are here. So I assume that they're trying to bring services from downtown to this location so they can clear the beautiful downtown. So, I have a enormous amount of database, and I'm talking to several attorneys about this and about how to proceed with this, and to find out who is involved and how the situation become to be what it is now. I know that some folks didn't want to confront churches because it's such a delicate issue, but I don't care. Because I saw the danger of bringing services. So now you see it, and these are the consequences of not acting. So what we're gonna do now, we're battering a battle uphill. So I just wanna say that it's gonna be hard. We don't know how this is gonna, we don't know the results of all of this. And so all I can say that I'm gonna keep on recording database, and I'll keep you updated once we get our attorney, and wish us luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. And when you get set up, I think a bunch of people will join you. So don't go away. Dana?
Thanks. I want to say, of course, I have a problem with the process. My exposure to the city has taught me that this administration is, their MO is basically to bait and switch. They're doing the same thing with the college area plan. They sell you one thing and then they change it to something else. So I have a serious problem with that. I suggest that, well, two things. Laura, I sent you some data this morning from the Attorney General. I think that's her, no, the district attorney, I think, from the county, with some statistics for crime related to homelessness. Some of the data was crimes that the homeless are victims of, and some of the data has to do with crimes that are the homeless are perpetrators of. So I hope that will be useful to you. That came across my desk today. The second thing is that I would suggest that the county and the city be asked whether there will be 24/7 substance abuse and mental health services available to the people who will be transitioning from life on the streets to life indoors within a residential neighborhood. This won't be an easy transition, and in theory, living atop a health clinic could be ideal, but it's an issue with the schools and the homes so close by, and not if those services aren't provided around the clock, because issues don't arise on an 8-hour work schedule, as we all know. They pop up around the clock, and if the services aren't being provided, then I think the likelihood of having serious problems is great. So are the city and the county budgeting to provide around the clock mental health and substance abuse services for these 40 previously chronically unsheltered individuals? If not, why not? And will they consider doing so to make their transition more likely to be successful, and perhaps to make the community more comfortable with their plan? But if they're not willing to provide those services, then why is the clinic any better a place to locate them than any other place? So that would be a suggestion I would have when you have the opportunity to actually deal with the city and the county.
Thank you, Dana, very much.
Sure.
Danielle?
Hi. So I just wanted to offer my opinion. So I'm a nurse. So I've worked the last 6 years housing the homeless with severe mental illness through mental health systems, telecare, the county, and we're inundated in this neighborhood. I was a field nurse, so I would go out and give antipsychotic injections, and so I would have to go to where they're housing people. And the college area has so many independent living houses that it's just frightening. And so the biggest problem I see with this is that, and the funding's huge. It's coming from HUD to the San Diego Housing Commission. They're offering sponsor-based subsidies. Everybody's pocket is getting lined. There's the reason it looks shady is because it is shady, because there's a lot of people, including the mayor, that are probably getting, you know, a lot of money out of this. So they're gonna bury our neighborhood. And I just wanted to, you know, throw in my ducats for some legal, because I don't see any other way out of this. There's just too much money involved. And just for example, in the 2 years that I ran a program and I housed 45 individuals with severe mental illness and homelessness, it took me 2 years to house 45 people with these sponsor-based subsidies, and half of them blew out of their apartments almost immediately and were, you know, homeless on the street right in front of, you know, where we housed them. And so I'm not sure what the number is of how many people they're planning on housing, but if they could just do 40 all in one shot, I mean, you see the lure there. And as soon as, and PATH, I also work with PATH a lot, and PATH will kick somebody out for behavioral issues. They don't just keep them eternally housed. So they get, you know, a couple chances, and as soon as they, you know, act up or break the rules, they're out on the street. So where are they going to be? They're going to be out in front of that complex and in our canyons and everywhere else, because once they're out, they're out. And so PATH may provide security to that building, but what's going to happen to our neighborhood? And so I just wanted to voice my concern and offer anything I can to help. Thank you.
Danielle?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be willing to make those comments again publicly when the city and the county are present?
I would 100% be on board with anything that you guys need. I've never been involved with, you know, community or any of this political stuff, but I have never been so angry in my life. And I mean, just even Clay Park, like you have a homeless outreach coordinator sitting there, you know, underneath a tent. And so everybody just moves to the other side. They still trash the park. And then there's the guy sitting there underneath the tent. Like, what is the point of all this? It's just absolutely ridiculous. And yes, I do have kids and I'm a single mom, so I can't walk the street either. And I'm constantly calling, you know, get it done and trying to, you know, rally the troops and following these encampments from one block to the next. I mean, I'm the one with the camera, you know, running around taking pictures. Our neighborhood is flooded and it's not going to get any better.
Would you mind sending your contact information to Lorna Zukas? You can do it privately so that they would be able to contact you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Danielle. And actually anyone that wants to make sure you stay involved in this particular issue, if you want to make sure we have your email, you can go ahead and do that same thing. Just privately chat me with your email and I'll add you to our list if you're not already on it. Vanessa?
Hi. So I'm really pleased to see that we've had so many people come to the meeting. I think this is one of the highest attendance meetings that we've had. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think really that is the key, that we as a community, we're going to have to fight like hell against, I think Danielle described pretty eloquently what we're kind of up against from her perspective. And I think everybody kind of has a little understanding of what a huge negative impact this project is going to have on the character of our neighborhood and our safety. We do not even have enough infrastructure to support our community as is. We don't have enough police officers. We've already had, you know, a steep influx of crime, violent crime. Just a week ago, I saw on the El Cerrito Facebook pages that a woman in North El Cerrito had a break-in into her house at 2 a.m. And the people that had broken into her house had been watching her. They knew she lived alone. Our streets are crumbling. We can't even get our streets fixed. So I think, you know, it's just, we all have to come together as a community. We have to, you know, I think every avenue has to be explored. Media, legal avenues. I know that we have people in this community that have the expertise. I know there are people on, you know, the college area community council that are lawyers that have the expertise on zoning rights. So we've got to pool our resources. We've got to crowdsource and just, you know, media, legal avenues, and stay engaged. And everybody's got to use their talents because we are up against, you know, quite a bit. And a vote June 7th. Nathan Fletcher is running for, you know, re-election for supervisor. He's a big instrumental proponent of this project. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Vanessa, thank you. Adam?
Thank you. I don't need to say much. Everyone else has said what they have said, and I agree with them. So when the first time the message came out, like when this whole thing started, it was like, hey, we're gonna have high density housing. So I'm for I'm putting that as a qualifier. I was for high density housing. I believe in high density housing. And there are a lot of homeless people. I'm a veteran. I have at least 2 close friends who have been homeless. And these guys are not alcoholics. And yes, alcoholics, but not drug addicts, nothing like that. But they just couldn't afford. Now, the thing is, I was for high density housing. Now this thing happens. And the first thing I heard when they wanted to do this was that it's going to be a hospital or a clinic. And I use public services myself for my own healthcare. So I was happy about it. Like there's going to be a health clinic, like my mom can go and all that kind of stuff. So I was happy about it. And then I see that they're going to change this into a homeless encampment and like a homeless place and a drug rehab. I'm all for all those kind of services, but we have to remember what has happened to downtown San Diego. So when you see with the Salvation Army places, that used to be a very clean area. It was a very functioning, like there used to be borders over there. When I was in the Navy, I used to hang out around that area because borders was there, and as sailors, we had free Wi-Fi over there. So we liked that area. And then there was the Padres Park. They built a homeless camp over there. And then you can see like the overflow which happens over there. People who don't get the space in the evening, they all hang out in the parking lots over there. The same thing is happening at the Salvation Army. So one of the nurses who said a few moments back is there is going to be overflow. And that is going to be, all those people who are going to overflow are going to be in our front yards and our backyards. And we're not suited for that. The saddest thing about this whole situation is like when I drink beer or something, and my friends know this thing, I try to put it in a cup so that my kids don't see that I'm drinking alcohol. Like that's the kind of concern I have because kids are impressionable. Like I don't want them to see I'm drinking alcohol. I take precautions. I don't do certain things around my children. Like now we're gonna put this huge place, like drug rehab, all these different things. They're going to put it right where the schools are, where the children are. This is just shameful. Like I don't get the morals of the person who thought of this. Like, would they want their children to be over there? And I don't know where Mayor Todd Gloria lives. Maybe he can have it in his front yard, or maybe like in La Jolla, or there are a lot of open spaces. Try it in Torrey Pines or something, some fancy area like that. Convert that into a homeless housing. I just feel disgusted and saddened how the city has lied to us, and they have lost my faith in this thing. And I thank you for the opportunity for me to speak. Thank you.
Adam, thank you. And my hand's up. I won't say much because everybody in the community has articulated very well my own concerns. The big question that hasn't been asked yet tonight, and that really I'm very curious about, is what happens when the grant money runs out? Right? Grant monies come and go in cycle. What happens when PATH for some reason doesn't get funded again? We're going to have this huge building in our neighborhood. what happens if the economy in the US completely crashes and San Diego Housing Commission doesn't have enough money to, maintain the apartments that are going to be built? Because right now, from what we know from media reports, we're looking at 40 units of housing chronically homeless individuals, and then approximately 140 units for low income housing. So gone is all the rhetoric about young professionals, and I'm not even sure I hear much about housing the medical staff for Family Health Center anymore. But the whole problem is we really do not know what's going there, because they will not come and talk to us. And you heard my frustrations earlier in the meeting about the meeting that we tried to invite them to, and now they're taking it over, and so I have no idea what's going to happen with that meeting. The one question that I have, and it's because homeless people have to live somewhere. And if this project's going to go in, and if we're going to get 40 units of housing for homeless, I want those 40 people to come off the streets of El Cerrito, College, Rolando, the neighborhood right next to us, by Colina Park, which has another huge encampment and a lot of problems. At least if you're going to keep them in our neighborhood, if the homeless are going to, get them off the streets and put them in housing, that's fine. But I don't think that's what's going to happen, because I articulated this idea at the Storage Connect meeting last week, and they were told, oh no, there's some algorithm in the San Diego Housing Commission database that will determine where the homeless come from. So I just suspect we'll have additional homeless added to our neighborhood. Anyway, that's all I'll say. I'll stop at this point. And Laura, you're up, and I do have the poll ready for the vote.
I just have a quick comment, and that is a few people have mentioned the 40 units of housing, and based on how things are going, I think that the additional 140 units on top of the 40 units are going to be for the exact same use. I don't think it will be affordable housing. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody would want to live with a lot of homeless people who are going through drug, alcohol, and mental health treatment. Plus, from things I've read in California government code documents, once a building is dedicated for the use of homeless housing, all the units have to be for that. So we're not looking at just 40 units, I honestly don't think. And I hate to be, wet blanket on top of all the other bad info, but that's what I've seen. One thing.
Kate, Laura, just when you're done, we do have one other hand up.
Okay, good. Go ahead and take that. And then we can go ahead and vote, Lorna. That'll be good.
Wait a minute. I want to speak one more thing before we go with the hand, okay?
Okay, Maurice. Kate, you want to jump in, and then we'll go to Maurice?
Kate, you might be muted. Floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
All right, this is John of John and Kate. So as I understand it, we were presented with a plan several years ago for a 8-story structure off the ground that was going to house a combination of people. And now we're told that we're getting something we don't want. And so the question is, not wait for them to come to us, but we go down to City Hall. We go meet with our city councilman, our mayor, and our supervisor, and we ask these questions. And until we get, if we don't get the answers, then we take our sleeping bags and camp down there until we get what we want. This is our neighborhood, and we have a right to have it the way we want. If that's what I'm saying, not to be told. Stop, that's my 10 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, John. It might just come to that. Laura, are you, Maurice, I'm sorry.
Okay. I just like to say that right next door to me, there's an existing 9 units that it used to be a single family home. Those 9 units became one of the worst nightmares in our community. From gunfires, narcotics, domestic disputes.
Me too.
Hello,
Me
hello?
Hang on, sorry, can you please mute?
Sorry.
No, it's Kate and John.
I'm sorry. We're on a different device and we're trying to.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so the unit next door became a total nightmare. So we, the community, took these people to court. This building used to belong to Conrad Previs, which used to be a slum landlord. And he created such a nuisance to the community that we have so much preponderance evidence, and we won the lawsuit. Sarah, can you please mute yourself, please?
Maurice, hang on, I'll mute everyone and then you'll have to unmute again.
Yeah.
Okay, Maurice, go ahead and unmute, please, if you can.
Thank you. Anyway, so we sued and we won. The nuisance went on a couple more years, and me and my spouse, in communion with another neighbors, we sue again. We won, but unfortunately, my neighbors were not able to win their case, even so we have some evidence. But this issue with the apartment next door still continues. This is only 9 units. We're talking about now, I'm going to let you know now, we're talking about hundreds of units, micro units inside these large structures. Now, I've been into the locations in downtown, and I had people that I have assisted before. They have stayed in my house, and I assist them so because they were homeless, and I get them off the street. That was some of the things that I had done for the community for several years. So I'm very familiar in assisting the homeless. And the reason why I do this because I was a homeless person myself. So I know what goes on. In such facilities, there's going to be drug addiction. What they do is they avoid the cameras, but the best activity and perhaps the narcotics will continue inside the building. That's something that I saw with my own eyes in the downtown location. Would it happen here? I don't know. Likely, because we're dealing with people who has a high addiction. But I just want to let you know that we have an issue with 9 units that had the potential to destroy a community. Now you can imagine this monstrosity. And that's all I have to say for the moment. Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Okay, Laura, so you don't have anything else? You know, it's a very simple vote tonight, and it was, do you support the addition of homeless housing to the Family Health Center building? This is the Family Health Center building on El Cajon Boulevard that's currently in the process of being built. Is there any questions before I launch the poll? Okay, so you can go ahead and vote. It's just yes, no, or abstain. Remember, okay. I don't see any other votes coming in. It's not fair. I can't vote as the webmaster. Okay, I'm going to end the poll.
Cannot vote?
Didn't you see the poll pop up for you, Maurice?
I did vote it, but you have resident, young lady, go for it.
Oh, no, it won't let me. Probably because I'm running the poll. And
Yes, you like to just say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you should also let people know that the voting was anonymous, that they're not identified.
The voting is anonymous. And we have 70 out of 72 people. So we have a 97%, although it says we have 79, but I don't know why my poll's only showing 72.
Lorna?
Folks may not be able to vote.
Lorna, it might be because there might be more than one person at one Zoom link.
Yeah, no, the computer would only register the one Zoom link though. Okay, we have what we have. So I'm going to end the poll.
I wish just to let you know that we have two of us here and we're split on our vote. So there should be an extra vote added to no. In fairness.
And
We'll look
Lorna,
at some more formal options as well that will include household versus those that have attended. This is our preliminary meeting. I think that there are conversations about surveys and things like that. So we'll come up with something that's more universal. And I would think 97% no would be, sufficient enough, but we'll create something that's more expensive. And
Lorna,
yes, the rest of the members, I did pledge that.
Okay, we had that you should be able, yeah, Laura.
My hand is up for the no vote.
Oh, because you can't vote on your phone?
Right. I don't see how. I don't know how to vote on my phone.
Okay.
I think that's why we have people missing, is that people who are calling in from their phone are not able to vote on this.
So there probably are some 79.
Can we just speak? And for those people, can those people just say verbally?
If you called in on the phone and you did not vote in the poll, text me privately your vote, please. Because the vote's anonymous. Remember, we don't really want to know who it is, but if there's just a few of you, then
are they able to text when they're on the phone?
What?
Are they able to text out to you when they're on the phone listening?
Oh, can they send me a chat? Probably,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I never come into Zoom meetings on my phone. I tried once and I found it obnoxious, so I don't do it anymore.
They can send a private chat. Can you provide your personal phone number, and then people can text you following this call with their vote?
Well, they can send a private chat just to Lorna. If you go to the right of the screen on the bottom, under more, hit chat, and where it says send to, just pick Lorna's name.
But can they do that on a cell phone?
And it'll only go to her.
That's the question.
Yeah, but they're on the
Yes,
phone
I'm
right
on
now.
I'm on my cell phone.
And you can send a text message when you're on your phone?
I can send a
If you're
chat.
on your phone via Zoom, it's one thing. If you're just calling into the meeting, it's different. If people are just calling into the meeting, they'll need another avenue. They don't have access to the chat, so they'll need another way to send their vote.
Maybe, Lorna, could they just raise hands, and can you just count their hands?
They'd have to come on and tell me, okay, if you're on the phone and you did not vote and you want to vote, go ahead and raise your hand or unmute now, and then you'll just have to tell me your vote. Like Laura said, she's a no.
I really think if we have 94% of the people voting said no, I think really we should move on. That this isn't a democratic thing. This is just a census, and the majority of the people, a vast majority, say no. So I accept the fact that I'm in the minority. That's okay, and I'll let the no be the sentiment of the community, even though I feel differently. So.
What the fuck?
Annette, you're verbal.
Annette, you're on me.
Okay, so we do.
Apologies.
There were 66 no's, two yeses, and 2 abstentions. So, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the community does not want the homeless housing added. It's very clear. to the Family Health Center building. And there's clearly you all articulated very valid reasons. So, Laura?
And I've written notes on everybody's comments, and we are going to be able to listen to everybody's comments. We will compile a list of all the comments and the sentiments and provide those to our representatives and to the agencies that are involved in this. There will be an upcoming meeting where you can actually ask those agencies and our representatives to their face similar questions or questions that have come up in the meantime.
And by the way, you could save the chat by going to the chat box, and then on the lower right-hand side, there's 3 buttons. Click on one of them and you'll be able to save the chat for yourselves.
I also recorded the chat room, I mean, the chat and the entire meeting with my own little program over here, okay?
Thanks, Maurice. We recorded the discussion on the issues, so thank you. And I will get it up on the ECC website in the next day or two. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.